My first gig as a tour manager was with us. I'm from Scotland, as you can probably tell from the accent.
Where in Scotland?
I grew up in the Highlands of Scotland, but I lived in Glasgow, went to school there, and I left university with no clue what I wanted to do with my life. I was playing in bands, doing a bit of touring as a musician, and just going on tour was the dream that was all I wanted to do in life. And a friend's band asked me if I wanted to drive them to a music festival. And I was like, yeah, of course. I get free tickets to a music festival. Of course, I'll do that. Man. And then just a complete chance encounter with a tour manager in catering who was a friend of a friend. And I was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, tour manager. And I'm like, what is a tour manager? Right. What do you do? What is your job? And it sounds dramatic to say, but it was just this moment of like, oh my God, that's the job I want to do.
Why? What about it?
You get paid to go on the road and you don't need to have a technical skill. Like, I'm not from a discipline of audio lighting. I've got so much respect for the people that do, and I wish I did, but it's not the way my brain works. I like logistics, organization, spreadsheets.
Me too.
And so to find out that there was this role that led to my skills was great. And so he was like, yeah, what are you doing in a month's time? I have this artist whose name was Unicorn Kid, small independent Scottish artist.
Scottish?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was like, absolutely. So we started touring in the UK, and within a couple of months, he got brought on to a US tour opening for the artist Owl City.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Owl City?
Yes.
What is it? Fireflies.
Fireflies.
Let's freaking go, man.
Exactly. So my first tour, flew into Nashville, had never been to the US, had never been on tour, didn't know how to do the job, and just stumbled through it and screwed up until I screwed up a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less. And then that was it. I just was like, this is what I'm going to do.
What were those early mistakes, if you remember?
Oh my God. I didn't even know what an advance was.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. I didn't know how this worked because the shows I'd done were, you show up with your own gear, you put it on a stage. If you get any time at all to sound check, amazing. And you go from there. So you talked about mentorship. Yeah. I didn't have that. And maybe it was just me, or maybe it was the time that I came through in the industry, but that didn't seem like it was accessible to me.
You were just on your own. Like you really just, so as a support TM, like how did you learn? Did you lean on that? Like, were you expected to know all of it and you just had to act like you did?
Yep.
Dude.
Fake it till you make it. I learned by watching.
Yeah.
And I was someone who, I was afraid to go into the production office.
Yeah.
Quickly from there, I did bigger tours, arena tours where we were opening for certain artists. The production office scared me. I didn't want to be in someone's way. I just figured there was like a fire-breathing dragon in there. So I did everything to like, and I should have gone in and been open with the headliners, tour manager, and that I was coming up and, you know, but hindsight's a beautiful thing.
More just like fear that they were going to find out that you didn't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah. And so, you know, just trial and error, learning from your mistakes. I think, like, you know, I get asked a lot from people who are trying to get into the industry, you know, how do I get my foot in the door? How do I, you know, what's one piece of advice you would give? I think the biggest mistake you can make is chasing perfection. You have to give yourself space to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Steve Jobs wasn't perfect. All of the most impressive people in history are not perfect, but on tour you exist in this uncontrollable environment, so you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. It's how you respond to them and how you fix them next time, or make sure they don't happen again.
It feels like you actually, like, in everything you can't be a perfectionist. I mean, some things you kind of have to, like baking or interior design, or certain things really like thrive with perfectionism. But it seems like in touring, like, you cannot be a perfectionist because everything is last minute. You're just surviving. Yeah. Basically.
And I'm saying this out loud, but I'm understanding that I also need to take my own advice because I am a perfectionist.
Okay. Tell me how that plays out. Do you think about a decision so many times before you make a call? Like, how does perfectionism play out in touring?
Oh my gosh. There are so many uncontrollables on tour. You're in a different environment every day. You have no responsibility over the environment you work in that day,
Yeah.
or the people you're working with, or the weather conditions, all of these uncontrollables. And also in a leadership role in tour, you have responsibility over so many things that you answer so many questions and make so many decisions
Yeah.
in every single day. So if you start down that road, you're going to trip yourself up really quick. And so you have to just use your experience, go with your gut, make judgment calls, and not beat yourself up if you make the wrong one. Lean on your team. As a tour manager, production manager, you can't be an expert in everything that works, that exists underneath you. So you have to rely on the experts. And so communication. Speak to all the parties involved, and then make a clear decision, communicate it clearly, and then
don't beat yourself up if it's not. I feel like that's a huge part of perfectionism. That it's like the dark side of it is like you're gonna maybe take too long to make a. All right, we're doing this, and if it's wrong, it's like then you're just upset with yourself and maybe then fearful of making the next decision. Yeah, no, I struggle with this like crazy. But you can't be quick if you want it to be perfect.
And especially as a tour manager, you're going to upset. You can't keep everyone happy at all times.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you upset everyone. Oftentimes you're
a politician.
You can be put exactly that. You can be put into a position where you're representing a decision that you didn't necessarily make, or having to communicate something that you have very little control over and be the face of the organization.
Yeah.
And so if you're a people pleaser and a perfectionist, as I unfortunately am, it takes a toll. Mentally it's sometimes difficult to keep your head up when you're having to upset people and, make decisions that impact them negatively. But
interesting.
It's part of the job.